Good morning, my name is Lena Morera. I'm here for GNP Idiomas. We're going to put together a series of teacher tutorials. This is for teachers who want to teach grammar and have relatively little experience and need a little bit of help in terms of explanations of how to get those ideas across to the kids. Alright, we're going to start with the present simple and the present continuous. Two very basic verb tenses, but that cause a little bit of trouble because of the state of verbs. Okay, so we all know that the present simple is used for habits, all right, and routines, okay? They're also used for permanent situations, all right? And we know that the formation is, if the verb is go, it would be goes or goes. If it's a negative, don't go or doesn't go, okay? You need to make sure that the students understand that that S goes in the auxiliary and is removed from the verb there. Okay, if it were a question, do you go? Or does, in the third person, he or she or whatever, it go. Alright, now, there are two things that you have to consider when you're teaching the present simple. Not just the pattern, how it's formed, but the adverbs. Adverb of frequency are very much linked to the present simple. Okay? Now, you need to tell them to make sure that they understand where they go. Okay? Ordinarily, they go right after. Okay? The verb I am, never late. Alright? I like to tell the kids that they're like best friends, the subject and the verb to be. You don't usually separate them. But if it were an ordinary verb, like the verb go, then you do separate it. Okay? What about if the verb is a compound verb where you have an auxiliary and a main verb? So, for instance, I don't go out. The adverb would go right there. So, I don't usually go out. Okay? So the adverbs of frequency, you need to explain their position in the sentence, all right? They're very different from time adverbials, which go at the end of the sentence. So, I go out twice a week. Now, twice a week would be the adverbial, and it goes at the end of the sentence, all right? We could put some at the front if we want to be emphatic. For instance, yesterday, but that would be a past. Or sometimes I go out. Words like sometimes and usually can go at the beginning, right there, before. They can follow the order, ordinarily, right there. Or they could go at the end. And the exceptions then would be sometimes and usually. Both of which can go wherever you want, even though they are not time adverbials. Okay? That's the first problem. Okay? The second one are the stative verbs. Now, what is a stative verb? Verbs that actually don't describe an action, okay? Stative verbs cannot go in the continuous form. What are they? Stative verbs are the verbs need, or want, or believe, okay? These think. Now, think is difficult, and so is see, but we'll talk about these two. There are more of those. These verbs don't actually describe actions, so they're never in the continuous form. So, I need an umbrella, I don't need an umbrella. I want to go, I don't want to go. You would never say I am wanting or I am needing, all right? That's a stative verb. Now, these verbs are both stative verbs if they're in a certain context. So, if I were to say, I think the movie was great, that's a stative verb. Because here, this is an opinion. So that's a stative verb. But if I say, what are you doing? And somebody says, I'm thinking, then that's an action. Okay? I'm thinking about the summer. So this here, that there, is an action. Okay? Same thing goes with see. If I say, I see what you mean, then it's same as understand. Understand is a stative verb. But if I say, I'm seeing some friends after work, I'm meeting, and then that's an action. So these are the ones that you have to make a list of and be sure to explain to your students that they are not regular verbs, so they would never go into the present continuous, even if they were referring to actions happening at the moment, okay? Which is what the present continuous describes. okay? Where the present simple describes habits, routines, or permanent situations, the present continuous describes actions happening at the moment of speaking, okay? Careful, because the present continuous also describes the future. I am visiting some friends tomorrow, okay? But we're gonna stick to the present. So it's at the moment, but it's also a temporary situation. All right, I'll go into that in a moment. So this is simple because it's very visual. What are you doing? I'm erasing the blackboard, okay? The formation is simple. It's the verb to be, am, is, are. The negative, if it were to happen, would be there. And in whatever verb you have the infinitive in the ing form, okay? If it were a question, it's inverted. So question forms are, is, or am, well, it's not, plus the subject, plus the ing form, question. Okay, so are you listening? Is she going? Am I doing this properly? Okay? This is easy, and it's easy for them to understand. They tend to forget the ing, so you've got to drill them and make sure that they're putting that in. It's also a mistake that's very easily hidden when you're speaking. A lot of us don't exaggerate the ing, so it's an easy mistake to let go. Careful about that. All right? Very simple, very easy to use at the moment. It's also around the moment, so careful. I'm reading a very good book at the moment, but not necessarily at the moment of speaking, but around the present, okay? Which is not temporary, it's just around the present. Temporary is easy if you give them the right examples, okay? Now, let's say, what's the difference between I work in a bank, I work in a bank, let's say somebody asks you what you're doing, I work in a bank. And another sentence is, I'm working in a bank. In some languages, there would be absolutely no difference between those two sentences. Whereas for us, I work in a bank is a permanent situation. I'm a banker, I'm a teller, I work in a bank. Whereas I'm working in a bank, here you get the idea until I can find what I really want to do. So if the examples are clear, then it's very easy to distinguish it. I work in a bank because I'm a banker, and I'm working in a bank temporarily until I find something else, okay? So those two are very easily distinguished if the examples are clear, okay? And stick to clear, simple examples, all right? So that's it. That's the present simple and the present continuous. Now, just a very brief explanation of the present continuous used for the future, all right? Because we were talking about present simple, present continuous for present. But what about the future? Now, the present continuous for the future is a plan, all right? This is a plan. So let's look at this. I'm playing tennis on Friday. Now, there are a lot of future, and this is a whole different lesson. There will be a lesson where we've got the whole future system, and you'll be able to distinguish the three very confused tenses. But here, what I want to focus on is that this is the action, and this action is a plan that will be happening on a certain day. So when we use the present continuous to avoid confusion, we ordinarily mention when that's going to be happening, okay? I will go into detail, I will go into further explanations in that future lesson. For the moment, that's it, okay? Thank you very much.